get here with some tips and recommendations on building a mainstream, low-budget computer, whether it's Intel or AMD. I'm going to start off here with different components. I know it can get really confusing and overwhelming. I mean, there's so much out there to choose from, but we want to focus and limit. We want to take a couple of assumptions here to make sure that you don't go over budget and start spending more than you need to. Now, remember, if you're running things just for your home use, regular plain gaming, you're not going to be doing some overclocking at all, or maybe some light overclocking, let's just say, and maybe you just want a 4 to 6 core CPU, no more than that. You're running things on a nice 1080p HD display, maybe running games at medium to high settings. You have 1 or 2 hard drives in there, and you're going to be using your Ethernet, no Bluetooth or wireless on this desktop, and 1 graphics card. Maybe you'll use the integrated graphics card that comes on the CPU to save even more money. So that's up to you here, but those are the assumptions we're going to go by when we build a mainstream PC on a budget. Now, if you're using Intel as the example, you want to get last year's CPU. That's always rule of thumb. Never get the latest and greatest if you're trying to save money, right? Always go for last year's CPU. Maybe you want to get the one that has integrated GPU. The graphics chip is on the same die as the CPU. Maybe limit yourself to 8 gigs of memory, of DDR4 memory, instead of 16, okay? And if you're going to get an SSD, well, you want to save money. Don't get the NVMe M.2 SSD. Get a regular SSD, right? Power supply, limit that to 550 watt, to 700, more or less. Now, when it comes to a Ryzen AMD machine, things are a little bit different here because AMD is trying to make things easier for you. If you do get the latest and greatest 2018 CPU, which just came out actually, the chip actually has built-in graphics on it, so you don't have to buy a separate graphics card. So even though it's $170, you're going to be saving money because you don't have to buy another graphics card. But it's not going to perform as well as if you bought a separate graphics card. Let me just put it that way, plain and simple. So last year's model with no integrated GPU for $150 might be the best way to go if you're looking to get a little bit more performance. Now, when it comes to a power supply, 550 watt to 700 watt, good enough. You can find it. It is available. I have searched for it. Anywhere from $45 to $75 US, depending on the wattage that you're getting and whether it's efficiency gold or not. Now, looking at the graphics card, like I said earlier, let's just say you want to get a separate graphics card. You're buying last year's model CPU, $150 for the NVIDIA GeForce 1050. There you got it. Or you can get the Radeon RX 550. Now, if you do go with air cooling solution as opposed to liquid cooling, I have here the Arctic Freezer 33 Esports 1 for $30. That one actually worked really well. I had it cool and quiet. Again, I'm not trying to overclock things like crazy, so there's no need to go with liquid cooling for that. If you do decide, that's another 20 bucks minimum, okay? So keep that in mind. Now, when it comes to the memory, like I said earlier, 8 gigs, so a kit of 2 4 gigabyte modules, good enough for a mainstream PC. You don't need to go 16 gigs unless you want to spend double the amount of money. And that's basically the rule of thumb. $88 for 8, 16 gigs is going to cost you 165 bucks more or less. Okay, so there you have it. Think about that if you're trying to cut costs. Motherboards. The Gigabyte GA AB350 gaming series, excellent. $100 US or less you can find these boards for. Very stable, reliable. I've used them many times with the AMD AM4 CPUs. They work really well. If you decide you want to go higher and get some overclocking power and things like that, then you go for the Asus Prime. Now, storage options. I told you, don't go crazy. Here's where you can start spending too much money. A regular 1 terabyte drive, 50 bucks. If you're going to go SSD for a 500 gigabyte drive, $150 US. And if you're going to go with the NVMe, well, that's going to cost you even more. So again, limit how much you want to spend there. Think about the hard drive and the storage situation. Cases, well, you don't have to worry too much. Most ATX mid-tower cases are around $50. That's not an issue, right? There you're not going to save much. Bottom line, here are the prices for this AMD system that I'm suggesting putting together based on the latest pricing that I've searched for on newegg.com as of February 2018. So we're talking about around $800 US plus taxes, give or take. It can go down, it can go up, depending on whether you change parts here and there. Let me know what you think. Comment below. If you have suggestions for other folks, you want to comment, place it below in the comments. Thumbs up, please, if you don't mind. And again, thank you for watching. The Intel video will be next.